Hey everyone, welcome to my channel and my name is Jennifer. Today we're going to meet one of the most beautiful and expressive instruments in the world in the woodwind family, and that is going to be the flute. I am so excited to have you here and that we're going to be able to dive deep into what will be most likely your flute journey. Are you guys ready? Let's get started. This video is especially for you if you are just now starting out as a new flautist. Maybe you're a new flute player and you've never touched the flute before, or you're a beginner flute player and you're looking on tips and making sure how to start the right way. Whether you're a student, an adult learner, or a person who's just learning music for the very first time, whatever level you might be, I've created this video in hopes to help guide you through your very first steps. Here's what you can expect in today's video. First, I'll be sharing my personal story about how I became a flautist and what inspired me to start my personal journey. Next, we'll talk about some places where you can purchase your flute if you have not already. Next, I'll guide you through proper flute posture, which is so important for playing comfortably and successfully in the long run. We'll also take a closer look at the flute and its part so you'll know exactly what you'll be working with. And then finally, I will give you your first assignment, a beginner challenge to help you make your very first sound on the flute. Let me tell you what happened the first time I laid eyes on the flute. I was about 12 years old and it was Christmas time. I remember standing on the sidewalk and a parade was coming through. That parade was one of many little sections and it was a high school band, and for the very first time, that was my first time seeing a marching band on foot, and to me at that time they had perfect synchronations. Their footwork was perfect, their lines were perfect, their instruments were always in place, and I was just so mesmerized of the band, specifically the flute section. At that time I was so mesmerized on how graceful and delicate the flute looked and how parallel and silvery the flute sound and looked in the marching band. Right then and there, before I could even start middle school, I told myself and said in that time that I want to be in that band, and guess what? I did. I started playing the flute in middle school, and all through middle school I had an amazing band director who inspired me and coached me and mentored me, and he pushed me through and making sure I get through my dreams, and eventually led me to play in that very same high school band that I once admired. Fast forward today, I'm still passionate about music and I love the flute as I did back then, and now I can't wait to share and be able to help you start your own flute journey. What about you? Have you ever had a moment where music just completely inspired you? I love to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. Before we get started, I know some of you guys are thinking, where do I even get my first flute? That's such a great question, and I'm so glad you're thinking ahead. There are a few ways to go about it, and trust me, I've been there. My very first flute actually came from a pawn shop, and it was a Yamaha. I got really lucky. That's what we could afford back in the day. We did not have Amazon back in the day, and honestly, it was the perfect start for me. So let's not be afraid of my first recommendation, and let's explore what are some local options first. In some cases, it's wonderful if a friend or family member can pass down their own instruments to you. However, in most cases, that's not always an option for everyone. So my first recommendation is to check out your local music stores or nearby pawn shops. Many of them offer flute windows, which are perfect if you're just starting out and want to give it a try before committing to a big purchase. Plus, you might even stumble upon a great deal on a used flute. If you're in Texas like me, here are a few local places you might want to check out when you're ready to purchase your flute. Thrift stores, pawn shops, Music and Arts, Guitar Center, Straight Music Company, Alamo Music Center, and Caroline Nussbaum Music Company. When you visit these shops, you'll often have the opportunity to hold and even try playing the flute. That's at least if you can make a sound. And if you don't know how to make a sound, like me when I bought my very first flute, then don't worry. Excluding thrift shops and pawn shops, many of these stores have trusted technicians who thoroughly inspect and maintain their instruments, and they're pretty renowned for their craftsmanship and attention to details. You can even ask the technicians for suggestions to help you find the best fit for your student or for yourself. That is, of course, within your price range. Of course, if online shopping is more your style, larger websites like Flute World or Flute Center of New York offers trial periods on their flutes. This is where you'll be able to try their flutes before committing to the purchase. For the purpose of this video, I'm mainly recommending beginner-friendly flute stores that are reasonably priced for a variety of budgets. Here are your selected flute brands that I recommend that you should be able to find in a reasonable price range: Yamaha, Jupiter, Pearl, Emerson, and Gemeinhardt. Now, if you're a student, even on a college level, don't forget to make sure you ask your band director on being able to rent an instrument. A lot of the schools will have partnerships with music programs for students to be able to rent out their instruments or at least have a discount on their instruments. Whether your flute is coming from a music shop, pawn shop, an online store, wherever, from a family or friend, pass it down to you, wherever the case you may have gotten your flute, it's super important to anyways check it through a music technician. Flutes need regular tune-ups and adjustments to play their best, and especially if it's been sitting for a while or has been used. It's best to get it through a technician to make sure everything is in good condition. Still feeling a little unsure on what to get? No worries. Drop a comment or send me a message, and I'd love to help guide you on your flute journey. Now that you have your flute, let's talk about something super important: your posture. Good posture helps you to breathe better, play longer, and sound amazing on your flute. But it's more than just playing well. It's also about making sure you're building a healthy habit that can benefit you for a long time. As a musician from a young age, I didn't realize how much proper posture would help shape not only my playing, but also my personal walk, literally. Learning to stand tall, stay relaxed, and move with intention helped me prevent health issues later in life, especially with my back and breathing. Music taught me discipline, not just in practice, but in how I take care of my body every single day. So when I talk about flute posture, I'm not just talking about how to create a beautiful sound. It's really about setting yourself up for success for the long term so that you can have the confidence on and off the stage. Here are a few posture tips on how you can get started. Let's get into position with 5 quick posture tips to help you play your best. First, sit or stand tall. Start by rolling your shoulders up, back, and down. Feel your chest lifted and your spine lengthened. 2, relax your shoulders. Keep them loose, not stiff or raised. Let that tension all go. 3, keep your elbows slightly away from your elbows, just enough space for freedom and movement. 4, if you're standing, place your feet hip width apart. Shift one foot slightly forward and keep a soft bend in your knees. This helps with balance and avoids fatigue. 5, keep your chin neutral, not tucked in, not sticking out, just level and relaxed. Good posture helps you stay balanced, focused, and ready to play with confidence. Remember, posture isn't about being stiff, it's about feeling balanced, relaxed, and ready to play. Your body is your first instrument. Treat it with care, and it will support you not just in music, but in life. Now that you know how to sit properly, let's take a look at the instrument itself. There are 3 main parts and 3 main vocabularies that I will want you to know as we get started. First, head joint. This is where you create your sound, kind of like the mouthpiece of the flute. Second, the body. This section has most of the keys that you'll use when playing the notes. And lastly, the foot joint. This is the smallest part of the flute, but super important for balance and extra notes. Before we put the flute together, we're going to focus on just one piece of the instrument, the head joint. For our very first challenge, you'll only need this piece, so there'll be no need for you to assemble the full flute yet. Want to try making a sound? Well, let's have fun, and here's your first fun challenge. Take your head joint and try blowing across the hole like you would on a soda bottle. It should sound something like this. Now, to take it a step further, we're going to use and try to enunciate two phrases. You can either pick one or the other. It's going to be to or poo. I preferably like the word poo. I like the word poo because it's the way how it shapes my lips, which we call this an embouchure. So if you use the word to or poo, I want you to practice. I'm going to click. Can you try to keep the beat and say to or poo, or say even both to find which word you would like to use? You ready? I'm going to use to and poo. Ready? Here we go. To, poo, to, poo. This time when you do that, I want you to think about how do you enunciate it? Where does your tongue place when you say those two phrases? And how are your lips shaped? So sometimes even going in front of a mirror, that will help you to make sure you have a little bit better enunciation. As a musician, I have came up with this really great phrase that if you can say it, then you can play it. So being able to say these phrases such as to or poo will help you to better your musicianship. So let's practice it again. Here we go. I'm going to just use the word poo just because I like that phrase. Here we go. Poo, 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 poo. Now, I've noticed when I use the word poo, my tongue actually does not quite get in the way at all, opposed to when I say the word to. So, find which one do you like, and you let me know in the comments which one you prefer. As of right now, some of us can't even play a sound. So once you have already gotten your sound and practiced to and poo, and now you grab your head joint and do your challenge and practice that. That all in itself can take a while. So give yourself some patience and some time. It's probably not going to get it all through one day. Just give yourself some patience. So I'm going to do to and poo so you can hear hopefully what the difference is. I'll also describe to you what my body and what my embouchure is doing so that you can make sure you're doing the right thing too. Here's to and here's how it sounds. Now, some things I've noticed when I do the word to is that my lips is going on the roof of my tongue, of my mouth, or my embouchure. My lips are a little bit more tighter, and my sound has a little bit more sharper edge to it, opposed to when I do poo. Let's hear how that sounds. As a musician, what I can feel, my lips are actually moving opposed to my tongue. My tongue is actually barely moving, which sometimes that's the reason why I like to use the poo enunciation opposed to the to. But if you're playing fast notes, you'll want to use to because you need to go fast and use your tongue a little bit more compared to your lips. But I love the sound of poo and how it fits on my embouchure. And I just like that phrase poo. So with that being said, my lips again are moving a little bit more, and I have not as sharp as I do with to. So now I'm going to use to and poo and see if you can hear the difference. Let's see. Can you hear the difference? To has a little bit more sharper sound, opposed to poo is a little bit more softer. So both of these enunciations will both help you to be able to do better on making sure you have a little bit better in sound, especially if you're a beginner flute player. Again, it might take a few tries, and definitely since if you have to go through the phases of first making sure you have a good sound, and then practicing the words to and poo, and then being able to play it through your instrument, through the head joint. That step, it takes a process, so make sure again you give yourself some patience, but once you got it, boom, you got it, and you're on your way to becoming a great flautist. Well, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed learning about those three main parts, a little bit about myself, and your journey on how to be successful into getting your first flute. Before our next video, I encourage you to think about those three vocabulary words, how you can do them on your flute, and make sure you have your flute together and ready by next video. Also, practice using the word tu and pu on your head joint by trying that on your own flute and creating the proper embouchure for yourself. This will help you to shape your mouth and the right way for your first clear tone that we're going to do on our next video. So, you got this. Practice, keep practicing, and by the next video, we'll dive a little bit deeper on a couple of our first notes. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and please leave a comment so that I can hear your story on your flute journey. And until next time, see you!